What's up, you dirtbags? We are back again at the WWETT show in Indianapolis here at the Airbnb. This is our live show. We've got a record 3 guest hosts and 3 guests today. And let's go around and do some introductions. So we'll start this way. James, give an introduction. Jeff, Durbin, and then we'll go to our fantastic Walnut Grove Excavating guests. Let's go.
Jeff from Chillock Septic.
There you go.
Very verbose today. Yeah, it's James. Oh, boy. James from Canadian Septic here as well.
Hello, this is your favorite 2025 co-host of the year,
Oh,
Durbin
no.
Whitmer from Dig It Excavating.
Look at that radio voice. The man that was falling asleep last night on the episode. This is 3 nights in a row, 3 podcasts in a row, late nights, early mornings. But the show's been great. And I know a lot of us are heading out tomorrow a little early. So excited to hear more about what the Walnut Grove guys did today, but also get some intros so we can properly introduce who's behind Travis and the team and who's getting the work done.
I'm Cole Heisman from Walnut Grove. I started with Travis about almost a year ago now. And he's the first job that I got in excavation, so it's been well.
So tell me a little bit more about that. Like, how did your first job in excavation, like, did you just fall into it or what happened there?
It was a family friend, and his son went to my school, and so you kind of saw his brand around at the school. He sponsors a lot of things. And I came out of school with framing houses. My dad was a builder, so I grew up kind of in that construction world and got out of it for a little bit, got into trying sales and behind like office jobs, and it just wasn't for me. And there's just something appealing to being around big machines every day and running big machines. So I thought I would give Travis a call and use my inner connection.
Nepotism.
Yeah. So now we're here.
Nepotism adjacent. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I love it. And as we go later in the podcast, I'd love to talk about that. I know we talked about it today, but the community involvement and like that is how you got hooked up with Travis. So I think that'll be great to touch on later. So we'll keep it rolling here. Josh?
Yeah, I'm Josh. I've been with Travis about a year now too. Really did a lot of landscape design and landscape design build before I ended up with Travis. Also worked for another excavator doing municipal city water main, sewer main stuff. So we did do a lot of deep stuff. The company I worked for seemed to specialize in, well, it wasn't really what we initially specialized in, but we kept getting more and more of those contracts once we started doing it. So we were regularly 20 to 30, 35 feet deep, pulling 3 trench boxes, dewatering, all that stuff.
What was your part of the crew? Were you down in the hole?
They were a little bit of a smaller company, so I was in the hole some days or up top grabbing plates and tools or whatever the guys in the hole needed. When we would run the main going down the road and then come back and tie in all the laterals to the houses and stuff. So when we did that, I'd run the smaller machines when we tied in laterals and stuff. I didn't dig when we were deep. We had an operator that did that.
Did you feel safe in running deep and was it kind of a good environment, good culture, or was it like, oh boy, I'm down in the hole today?
When we were safe for the most part, but the company I worked for was definitely probably the opposite of the culture that we have at Walnut Grove. It's like there was a lot of screaming and yelling and cussing at guys, and which is kind of typical of some of those type of companies.
Yeah, one of my latest hires was a young kid too. They did a lot of deep sewer and stuff, and he enjoyed it. And he said the operators were good, but he just felt like he didn't feel like there was a future for him. So, we want to provide that future for him in our company.
Yeah, it was. I very quickly realized I wasn't really going to fit in that style. I don't do well like getting yelled at and screamed at, and it just wasn't for me. That.
He says about a year ago, and then what was that? you're leaving the job, you were searching for a job, or did you know who Travis was at that time?
I knew who Travis was. I'd seen him.
He's a celebrity.
I've gone by his shop on the highway 100 times. I've
Sure.
seen him on Instagram. I heard about him.
I don't know how to say this, but he's kind of a big deal.
He's actually right over there listening.
Intently.
His ears are burning.
He's pretending like he's
shooting
not, but he's
daggers.
smiling right now. $1 million smile.
Yeah, I had seen him around and stuff, so I actually ended up reaching out to him in the fall, actually, and we kind of talked a couple times over the winter, and then I went to work for him in the spring.
Right on. How did you end up reaching out to him? Was it a phone call? Did you send in an email? Or was it through social media? How did you reach out to him?
I called the office and then talked to Lisa, and then she had me send an email to him. So I emailed him my resume and some pictures of stuff that I've done, and we went from there.
Great. Your turn.
My name's Luke Eggerbrotten. Yeah, so I mean, let's keep it rolling here. So,
get on
and then
Next introduction here.
Yeah, my name's Ethan Vanderwerf. I've been with Travis like going on 3 years now. And same deal. I've seen him on Facebook and stuff, and he just posted one day and needed a truck driver. So I was like, hey, I had my CDL right out of high school. And I was doing construction before, but yeah, it was. So I've really never ran equipment or anything. So I was all on the job training kind of, and yeah, it was.
So when you initially were reaching out or you were looking for other jobs? Was it just something that you saw Travis post and like, were you looking?
I wasn't really looking. Actually, my father-in-law sent me the link and was like, hey, you should check this guy out. And his son was in my grade in school, so I kind of knew him. And then, yeah.
man, isn't that crazy though that he'd only been in the industry for a handful of years?
Yeah, he'd
and
only been in it for like 5 years at
Yeah.
that point.
Mm-hmm.
just the community involvement and just the father-in-law that you went to school with this person and they know him, and I mean you can't fake your way to that,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
When you guys were hired, okay, tell me a little bit about the hiring process, because we're all kind of small companies, and I don't hire that many people, so I'm always interested to know, what was the experience like? Have you been through a interview process before? Did you go through an interview process? And then after you were hired, when you look back, what stuck out to you that, man, that was really cool? Like one or two things that you're just like, that was unusual and it was really nice, a nice experience.
Yeah, like, so I had never really had an interview before. I'd worked for like a small builder, and we just did renos, and we had built one house. So I had never really had one before, so it was pretty cool. We went, just went in the office and had a talk and talked about my future, what I was looking for, and he talked about his and where he wanted the company going, and he seemed pretty nice.
I got a question on that. What were you looking for? What was your future looking like?
I wanted just, at the time, I kind of wanted a paycheck, and I wasn't getting paid very much. So,
Right.
so Travis was offering me the same I was getting paid, and he's like, well, in 6 months we can talk and maybe up that. So,
Yeah, we do something similar where, because we're not like a UPS or Amazon. We can't compete with the big dollars. But what we can do is, if you're willing to talk about it, it's like, yeah, where are you at now and where do you want to go? And it's like, we do this structure in our business where if it makes sense, it's like, I can't get up there now, but let's have a meeting in 3 months. And my goal is to get you there. And if you feel good about it and I feel good about it, we'll get you there at that point. But sometimes it's that trust, because you don't know, you're brand new in the company and you can't just like give you the world. But having those meetings built in there, I think really helps. It helps for you too, because you're like, okay, yeah, I do need to go earn it. But at the same time too, there is a little bit more of a clearer picture for you probably.
yeah, for sure. And he was even nice enough. So it went by super fast, and he we missed the date, and I was super nervous. I was like, hey, we never had that talk. And he was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And he actually back paid me for all the date I actually started.
Oh, that's interesting.
So he kept his word and back paid me for all those hours. So that was really nice.
So I'm interested if any of you guys did any prep for an interview. I know like that was one of my favorite things. I know it's a little twisted. Most people get nervous about going for job interviews, but I would always prep. I'd write down the questions that I expected to get answered and write down the answers so that they were sort of internalized and so that I had a good answer for when that question was coming, because I know Travis well enough to think that he would have a good list of questions for you. I know we talked to him, I think, at one point, and he was suggesting that sometimes he'll even take the spouse out for dinners and just to get a sense of, you know, the unit that you're getting when you hire someone, because, you know, the spouse is going to be just as important as the person that you're hiring, just because you don't want to have all that extra baggage that can come along with some folks when you go for a new job. So any of you do any prep work for the interview?
And I'll say this too, as you guys answer that, it almost goes both ways. It's like sometimes it can be extra baggage, like in a negative way, but if you can get them on your side and excited, sometimes those bad days that, let's say, the husband is having at work, sometimes the wife can pick them back up because they're like, they are, you know, this is where you need to be. This is the company you need to work with. So
Well, I was having a conversation with a really good friend, and he actually just took all of his employees and their plus ones up to Whistler, just to that point, just to make sure that everybody's feeling appreciated. Because, you know, when you come home and maybe you're having a bad day, the spouse has your back as the owner, because like, no, he's a good guy. Like, he's done all this extra stuff for us. Like, yeah, it's a bad day. You don't want that partner saying, yeah, you should get out of here, or sort of feeding into that. So
Yeah. Travis is super nice to our spouses. So we actually all went to Mexico. He took all the spouses, not these guys yet.
yeah,
It was when I first started. We didn't get to go this year, but yeah, he took everybody and their spouses, and we all went to Mexico the first year, and then the Dominican
yeah.
the second year.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely appreciates them, and Christmas cards and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So. And then the interview process, I had nothing to prepare for. I did not know what to
we go.
expect.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
I had never done one. The only other one I'd done was for a plowing company. So like
Right.
I just walked in there and I was like, yeah, we'll just go with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it can
Nervous.
be a little intimidating.
Oh yeah,
but
for sure.
I recommend to everybody, if you're going in for an interview, even just Google what are the top 10 interview questions and have an answer ready for that question, so that, you know, for me, if I write it down, it's so much easier just to spit it back out when somebody asks a question or a variation of that question, so you're not stumbling around trying to find the answer and you have it all figured out. So.
Yeah, I was like 19 and I was
totally.
just flying off the seat of my pants. I was like, I guess I'm going in for an interview. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How long have you been with the company?
Just almost 3 years.
3 years.
So yeah. Yep.
And how about you, gentlemen?
I can't say I really did anything to prepare for the interview. I've worked at, I don't know, probably a dozen places now, so I've been through a decent amount of interviews and stuff, but they've all been similar sized companies to Travis, smaller landscape companies and stuff. So all the interviews have been very similar. I guess I just keep my resume up to date and sent that in to him. But with Travis, I did do something a little different. Like, I see how much he posts on Instagram. He likes to show pictures of what he does and everything. And I've always felt like my resume has lacked showing my skills of what I can do. I worked for a landscape company for 10 years, and I pretty much ran the whole landscape construction side of it, from the bidding process through dealing with the customers to ordering material to installing jobs. So I did all of that stuff. But I feel like the words on a resume are hard to communicate some of the things I did in that. So I actually put a whole resume of pictures together of jobs because I used to take
That's
jobs
smart.
of all my landscape jobs, and I sent that to him because I felt like my pictures of jobs and work that I had installed spoke more than words on a resume did to him. And
100%.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and especially in this industry, right? Because it's one thing if it's like digital marketing or an office job or something like that. But like with what you guys do, how that shows up on a resume in Word format, I feel like doesn't tell the picture of what you actually do
Yeah.
and what you're capable of.
Yeah.
And
So-
you stand out big time too, compared to everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Because if everyone else is doing just the standard resume format, yeah, how do you stand out to get that job?
Especially when they tell you to keep it to one page, and you can only fit so many words on a page.
Yeah.
But picture's worth a million words. Everyone says that all over and over. But yeah, you get a couple of those great photos to show your finishing work. I mean, that's awesome.
I felt like it was hard to communicate. Like when I say I can design landscapes and I can build retaining walls and patios and stuff, like I can say that on a piece of paper, but you don't really know the level, like what my wall looked like when I got done building it, if it was falling over or not, or like, so that's why I felt like the pictures were better, and especially with somebody like Travis, or where he is so heavy into that with his Instagram and all his marketing.
You're speaking his language.
So,
It's great.
so I guess that's the only thing I maybe did different with him.
Did that attract you to Travis because you had documented stuff and then you saw that he was really active in kind of photo, video, or was that any part of, oh boy, I would love to work for him?
It was, and so that's maybe what initially attracted me to him, and then I heard him talk on some podcasts about where he came from and the direction his company was going and stuff, and that probably attracted me more than anything, because because the landscape company I'd worked at, I was there for 10 years, and like I wanted to. The idea was I was going to help build a construction division there, and it's just that we never got. The owner was so like. He'd been doing it for 20, 30 years at that point and had an established maintenance side of the company, and he just didn't really want to put effort into growing the construction side of it anymore. But Travis, listening to him talk and everything, was such a drastic difference from where I came from, because he's very much involved in the company still and is constantly talking about moving forward and growing this or growing that or improving our efficiency on this or just everything I had wanted to do before. I just didn't have a boss in place that would help us get there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's such a great point too. And I feel like you guys are the kings of building efficiencies, and especially Travis. And for anyone that hasn't listened to it yet, we recorded a podcast with Travis, who's the owner of Walnut Grove Excavating. And
Absolute
that is
banger.
so good. How to build efficiencies in your business, Walnut Grove Excavating. It was December 6th, 2024. And such a good episode. So go listen to that. This is a continuation of that with, I believe this is the whole team, right? The 3 employees.
The whole ground crew.
And we'll kind of get into that, I'm sure, as well, of the 2 crews. We got into that on the last episode. The 2 crews going down to 1 crew, some of those building those efficiencies. But of course, we got to hear from Mr. Cole here and hear your thoughts on the interview. And are you the youngest of the crew here?
Yeah, I am. And it's my story will kind of contradict everything that you guys have been saying, just because I kind of got thrown into working with these guys. With that connection, that family friend, it was kind of a little more like I gave him a call, and we went through. We ran through one phone call, and he's like, "All right, I'll give you a call back in a couple of days." Gave me a call back, and he's like, "Hey, can you show up tomorrow and kind of see if you like it and see if this is a path you want to take?" And I showed up Friday, and all the guys were standing around wondering who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
Why is
Travis-
he eating a sandwich right now?
Yeah, Travis Travis wasn't there yet, so I was kind of that awkward. How's it going? I kind of noticed Ethan. I didn't like, it was kind of that awkward thing of like, did we go to school together or not? And a couple hours into the job, we broke the ice and all that. But so that went on, and then over the weekend we talked, and he was like, "Yeah, can you start Monday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can." So I know I can't speak necessarily for Travis, but I know that, like you were saying, we were going down to 1 crew. There was a few guys that kind of left a couple weeks before I got there. So I'm guessing it was a pretty hectic time going on. So he kind of gave me like a 30 days, like another tryout phase.
Sure.
And by the end of the 30 days, we were kind of all rolling. And
It sounds like you got more of a working interview than
Yeah.
anything else, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I know, what a lot of guys are calling for or advocate when it comes to hiring, especially in the dirt world, just to get a sense for where everybody's at, what their attitude is, and how eager they are to actually, do the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's definitely still an interview, just not the typical formal
on
one.
the job. Well, and I feel like it's good for both the company and the employee,
Yeah.
right? Because you're figuring it out as well. It's like, is this where I want to be? And then getting with the other guys too, and seeing like, is this
What's
a
the chemistry?
What's the
Yeah.
chemistry? Is this a long-term fit? How much of a mess is this? Is there a mess? Do I see myself working here? So I feel like that 30 days is for both parties there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question too. You mentioned you had a CDL. Do you have a CDL, Josh? I do. Okay. Did you have it before you were there? Yeah. But you didn't. Okay.
No.
One of the first pictures I think I saw of you, you were in the dump truck and you were like, and I think Travis was like, yeah, we're doing a road test here with new driver.
yeah, I
and
remember that.
Cole was sitting in there like looking a little nervous.
Banging gears.
Yes. I asked that because like, it's interesting because it's two different experiences. Like most of the time, I'm looking for CDL drivers, but we hired a green driver right out of school, and so that was an interesting experience. And so I just kind of wondered, like, what the scenario was for all of you. How was learning a CDL, getting a CDL license within a company, versus like going to school and then looking for a job, like. Is that what you did? You got it, and then you were looking for a CDL job, or you're just like, I want to be in construction. And so, how was it learning on the job?
A lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did they did Travis pay for that, or did your pay like, because obviously we can pay more a CDL driver than a non-CDL driver. Did your pay go up, or did he pay for it and withhold pay for 6 months, say, and I'll pay for your license, or how was that?
I got the best of both worlds.
Okay.
So he paid for it, and I also got a pay increase.
Okay.
So we're very well taken care of, and I do go over it like I'm very lucky. I don't think you don't get that many opportunities the way I started out. I was very green.
Yeah.
So very grateful for the opportunity that I was given.
Yeah, that's really cool. This last time I hired a CDL driver, she was green too, and she had paid way too much for her driver's class, her driver's license, and so she seemed very stressed out about it. So I was like, okay, look, I can start you at this amount per hour. I'm gonna pay for half of your license just upfront, and then in 6 months, I'll consider a pay raise, because I basically soaked the pay raise in that first 6 months for having paid for half of her license, and then I give her a pay raise at 6 months because she was very good driver after a month, and she was doing really well. I had one other thought about that, but I can't think of it right now. So anyway, that's just curious to me because I know what it is. I have another guy who is testing for his license, and I said, look, I'll give you a $2 or $3 an hour raise once you pass your CDL, and I'll help you pay for it as well. So that's interesting. It's very similar. So I was curious how Travis dealt with that and all. So
Yeah, it's one of those things as like a business owner. I mean, you could call it selfish, but it's like it's such a good thing for both parties. Like they want you to have your CDL. They want you to have that so that you can do more in the company. And of course, it's not always so cut and dry. Like, of course, we'll pay for it, but it makes a lot of sense when you look at the longevity of like, ideally you stay with the company. Ideally you have your CDL so you can do more. And with that, we can pay you a little bit more as well. So,
And also another thing is Travis is very big on safety, which, I mean, everyone should have safety measures. But I was taught by him and how to drive through him. So he knows how I drive, or he has a bigger influence on how I drive instead of having someone else coming from a different company that was taught to just hurry and get there. We were taught it's better to get there a couple minutes late or however late than not get there at all.
Are there contracts in place for when you get your license paid for? Is there like X amount of time you're expected to stay?
Yep. Yeah. So it's like 3 years, 2 or 3 years. And then, I mean, if I do leave, I do pay a certain amount.
Prorated amount.
Yeah, prorated amount.
For the CDL? That
Yeah,
is?
just for the CDL school.
Gotcha.
So I had to go to a CDL school for 3 days. It's required in Michigan now.
What was the? Is it okay to say what the cost of the license was for your school?
Yeah, it was 3,000.
Yeah.
So
Get this guy
They'll
Mike
cut
here.
that out if Travis
If it's
Yeah.
wrong, okay. So the girl I hired paid $7,000,
oh wow.
and she felt like she really didn't get that good of a license when she was like training. So that's why I asked, because there's with that new law, there seems to be a real disparity between what is given and what is charged. So those people listening probably look around and try and get some references as to the school you're going to and the cost, and then there are cheaper ways out there than just being. I think it was Indiana University or something was just pumping people through, and maybe they have FedEx drivers or whatever,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. But if you're a small fish, look around.
Yeah, and a couple things on that too. I mean, you guys are all based in Michigan, so Dig It and Walnut Grove Excavating, they're based in Michigan. I'm assuming it's different state by state and also by countries, of course. So I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that, and then any input.
Yeah, we have a national safety code. I'm sure you guys have that as well. So, I don't have much in the way of that. We just tow around our smaller excavator. We're not needing a CDL in order to drive that around at this point. But I don't know if Jeff has anything to say about that at all.
I mean, yeah, we carry a national safety code, but yeah, just filing, but doesn't really affect our employees too much, as they just have to follow the rules we lay out clearly for them. And yeah, pre-trips and all their personal responsibilities while driving a heavy-duty truck.
Yeah, and I think a good point that Durbin you just made there is reach out. Don't just go with the first person you call. And I think this group and a lot of people within this community, just reach out to them on Instagram, shoot them a message. You know, who do you guys use? Who'd you go through? What did it cost? And that's why we ask these questions. And Durbin, I appreciate you bringing that up, because sometimes people think it's sensitive information. A lot of times it's common knowledge and we should know it. And so we're trying to unpack that and dig that up for everyone listening so that we can have a good gauge of what some of these things cost, the cost of business, the cost of doing anything. So I think it's a good conversation to have for sure.
I do have a question for you. With
Are
your
you hiring?
drivers,
And will you pay my prorated amount? No.
no. With your drivers, did you have them get their permit before they went to that school, and were they driving with another CDL driver? Because that's what made it a lot easier for me, and it was more. We just were so busy in the summer, we had to keep pushing it off. But I went and got my permit towards the beginning of the summer, and I was driving for 6 months before I even took that course. Right. So I was just wondering if that was something that you did with your guys.
I will do that with the next guy, and I've done that with my son Lucian. Like when he got his license, I think in Michigan you can get it at 18 if you stay intrastate. If you go interstate, you have to be 21. Is that correct? Yeah. So at Lucian, when he was 18, I needed another back truck driver, and he said, yeah, he'll get a CDL. So basically we took the dump truck and trailer and went to a local, and this was before the national mandate. Like we just took it went to a local licensing center that did CDL licenses. And so I rode with him. He took the written test, passed, did the driving test there, and drove around with the trainer. Did his parallel park, back in, turn around, all that stuff. Drive down the highway, get on the ramp, come off. You know the routine. Yep. And then he had his permit, and then he would have one of our drivers, either myself or one of the other vac truck drivers, ride with him until he got a certain amount of time in. And I think then at that point he would have done the test. I think I got that mixed up. He took the road test. He took the written test, then drove with our drivers, then took the test and got his license.
Yeah. Durbin, I got a quick question for you. Congratulations on the new truck.
Thank you.
It was not at the show, but
I'm so mad.
What?
No,
This is the first time hearing of it.
no. It was not at the show.
Tenth,
On
you
the
mean?
show floor.
I've been saying it all day.
But so when you get a new truck like that, I'm just curious because I don't know, how does that work? Like, who drives that? Who mans that new truck? Does it go through a pecking order, or how does that work typically?
Well, okay, so we've just pretty much floated the trucks around right now, but we've been talking about that. Who gets the new truck?
Sure.
You know, obviously probably not the newest drivers, but the Courtney is a very good driver, and I would be tempted to give it to her because
Gotcha.
she's very safe. I mean, they're all safe, but if she's going to be doing the majority of the pumping, we're gonna put the driver that does the most amount of pumping in that truck. And she won the jobs closed for the year last year. So in House Call Pro, we have per technician, and it's not really a good clear number because sometimes the other drivers are with her and she just clocks in, I'm on my way,
Right.
and another driver may be with her on the job. So anyway, she closed almost 1,000 jobs in House Call Pro last year herself.
Wow.
And the next closest was like 700 or 800. And so I was like, dude, like she closed a lot of pumping jobs. So.
And then this is the biggest truck?
Yeah,
You'd
yeah,
have?
yeah, it is. I have a 4,500 gallon and a 4,700 gallon, and
This
this
is
is a 5,000. But it's just freshwater 347, so it's still 47 sewage. But the tank is bigger to handle the jetter freshwater. So we're excited about that. We do have a jetter truck now. Our latest truck does have a jetter, but the handicap on that is you can't run both PTOs at one time. So you have to jet and then switch to PTO and then turn the vacuum on. Where with this one, it's a dual PTO system. So we can literally be jetting and have a hose in a catch basin or in a manhole or something, and we can be vacuuming the same time we're jetting, which everyone's excited about. So lots of features on the new truck that everyone's excited about. Backup cameras, aluminum tank this time because it's lighter. So shout out to Jim Steiber and Imperial Industries for closing another deal.
Heck yeah.
I think it was 15 years ago I ordered a truck from them, and so it's fun to be back.
Yeah. How does it feel as the business owner to order a truck like that?
First brand new truck I've ever ordered.
There you go.
So it is a good feeling, and it's funny that it comes on our 20th anniversary. I mean, we're getting delivery on our 20th anniversary. We've had next to new trucks, 18,000 miles, 20,000 miles, but to just order a brand new one,
Get it done the way you want it,
and
yeah.
that's scalable in Michigan.
Set up for your area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we figured it out. This is what we want. I talked to all the drivers. They said 10 gallons a minute, 300 foot of jetter hose, at least, 4,700 gallon.
So is that how that works? You can kind of build it out with those specs the way you want it, and then they'll put it together? Or?
Yeah, so there's sort of CAD parameters. Like if you want a triaxle, they'll tell you this is how much weight you're going to have per axle with a 4,500 gallon tank or whatever. Like Wisconsin can probably do a 5,000 with a triaxle and be legal. We can't with Michigan bridge laws. So they restrict every axle you put over a tandem restricts the overall GVW quite a bit. So you're losing capacity with the weight of the tag, and you're losing capacity because you added a third, and then you add a fourth, and then you can add a fifth, and all of that. But anyway, so yeah, they'll put it out in the CAD program, and they'll say, well, based on this spread, you could go up to 5,000 gallons.
Gotcha.
So they kind of give us those calculations, and together we say, all right, this is perfect.
Yeah, this might be a dumb question, but how big can you go on something like that? How big of a tank?
You can go as big as you want. You just keep adding axles.
Gotcha.
In Michigan, that's kind of the way Michigan is. But for a straight truck, I'll say, no pintle, no trailer, whatever, just a straight truck. In a quad, 5,000 is really your limit.
You're pushing it.
Okay.
And you're pushing it at 5,000.
That's what I thought, because I've never heard of anything bigger than that, just in my experience.
But if we went with a quint axle, Ohio does a lot of triaxles or quints. So I think you may be closer to a 6,000 gallon or 5,500 or something. No, in Ohio, No, but I'm saying I should talk to Maston, Cody Maston, because he's just telling me they're starting to go with Quint dump trucks, and they're crazy long. So they have the tandem in the back, and then they have 3 drops, and then they have their steer tire. And I forget what he said. I talked to him this week, and I forget what he said he could gross. But yeah, each state is different.
Yeah.
So you just have to know your state laws and your weight ratings.
Yeah. Get involved with your state association, huh?
Yeah, find an MSTA in your state.
Yeah, and we've got our show in British Columbia happening at the end of this month as well. So if anybody from there is listening, or even in Washington wants to come out, by all means, come head out to Abbotsford.
What's the name of the show?
This is the Western Canadian On-Site Wastewater Management Association of British Columbia Trade and Convention.
That is
of 2025.
Wakama, BC.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but that's why we usually just go to acronyms. That's what we do in wastewater. Everything's an acronym.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier to spit out that way. But I wanted to go back to the boys here a second, just touch on. I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget. So let's bring it back here. So I've seen you guys the last couple of weeks. Obviously, I was out at the show in Michigan last week. See you guys here this week. I love to bring my guys out. I can't do it every year. They were out here last year with me at the show. Just want to get your guys' take on what the last 2 weeks has been like. Obviously, a lot more class time than I'm sure you guys are used to. Is it something that you enjoy? Is it something that you look forward to? Is it something you want to do again? Just get your overall feelings on what the last 2 weeks have been at the Michigan show and this week here at the WWETT show as well.
It's nice to get out of the cold weather and have fun
And come to Indianapolis and then
have
Michigan.
more cold
yeah,
weather.
But
at least we're inside,
That's true. Yeah.
It's good team bonding and stuff, but we learn a lot too. And Travis is pretty good about, like, if we learn something new and we bring him in, he's like, yeah, let's change it or let's modify it, and make it better. And it was just a lot of talking, a lot of just trying to make things better. And he listens to that. Like if we want to change something, we just ask him, and he's like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So yeah,
Being agile, I think, is huge in business, and it gets harder the bigger you get. So I think there's so much benefit to being a smaller, nimble team, and all of us are that size, right? Like we can make decisions and make it happen.
Yeah.
We don't have a big board of investors or a big corporate system, and so but it also takes a good leader to make sure that we're listening to everyone involved. And like a lot of times, like, you guys are doing most of the work, and if you guys are out in these classes, I think that's super important to James's question of just being involved and seeing like what is out there.
yeah, like we're not playing a game like telephone, basically. Like Travis isn't going to them and then trying to explain it to us.
Yeah.
We're seeing it firsthand, and that really helps, I think, and we can get our own ideas from what we see, and just helps.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Josh on the way over to the stadium this afternoon after all the classes were done, just talking about some of the classes that he had gone through and some of the ATU stuff that maybe is not as prevalent where you guys are at. So you're able to learn about some other technologies that will at some point eventually be coming your way, and now you're going to be that much further ahead than the other crews, just because you've actually seen it, you've had your hands on it, you've been able to learn how things are supposed to work. So, Josh, was there anything else that you've taken away from the last 2 weeks at all here?
I think on going to all the classes and stuff, it opens your eyes to more of the technology that's out there, and we have a better understanding of what's going on in the ground and the systems that we're putting in.
Right.
So I think it's been beneficial to have the whole team here at these shows, because from a company aspect side of it, Travis is very active and wants to grow the company and move forward. And I think it brings the whole team together and helps us have one direction that we all know we play a part, an important part in where the team's going. Mm-hmm. So instead of just the owner coming to these shows like most people do.
Yep.
So that aspect I think is important. And then even just after the last show last week, we talked about some advanced treatment systems, and I was on a site where a perk test just in those couple days that we were home between that show and this show, and it was a tight site and a younger sanitarian, and he was thinking he was going to squeeze in this giant system there. It wasn't going to fit. And I'm like, well, why don't we look at an advanced treatment system? And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. And
Yeah.
we went back and started talking to his boss about
Yep.
it. When if I didn't know anything about that sanitarian didn't either.
Right.
I don't know what we really would have done on it. Eventually, somebody would have been out there at that site and realized nothing else was going to fit, and we would have got there. But it's just sped up the process that I could already help him out by.
Well, it helps
putting
you
that
advocate
idea in
for
his
the
head.
customer as well to say, hey, there's other ways to do this that are going to work better for you. So it goes right back to those 3 taglines from the Michigan Association there: educate, advocate, and
collaborate.
There you go. See, so I love
Shout
that.
out Will.
Yeah.
Will's just obsessed with those. He's
Oh,
like,
that's
"Yeah,
great.
I got these.
So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You? What'd you take away from it, except a big old L on the field
football
today?
field.
Yeah, let's not talk
And
about that.
Walnut Grove took
Lucas Oil
the L.
Stadium.
Yeah, let's go.
We took them down.
They
and,
paid the refs. Let's be honest. They were making all the calls.
Okay, on your interception, that was so far out of
that
bounds. I
was
could
so
not-
inbounds. You weren't even
I'm
paying
done with
attention.
Yeah, we went up to the
Cut this.
replay, but
Yeah,
I
the
digress.
jumbotron wasn't
All
working.
right, Cole, you're up. We're done over here. We'll just meet Mike number 4. We can cut it.
It's it is crazy though. You put a bunch of guys on a football field and they turn back into 12-year-olds.
I think Luke was 8. I mean, he's
12 is generous.
I saw some
Yeah.
of Luke's wedding photos, and he was pretty happy then. But when I saw him walk onto that field and he had the pigskin in his hand, man,
Oh.
you couldn't compete with that.
It's funny because I've been talking about it before that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is like why I'm here. And I just kept talking. Everyone's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. It'll be fun. I'm like, I don't think you understand. They're like, yeah, we're gonna go get some drinks, have a good time. I'm like, yeah,
Luke was checking out the suite, seeing if Jim Irsay was in there strumming his guitar, looking for a contract to get handed out.
I will say I felt better than I was actually performing. Like when I was rolling out right, and I was doing the fake handoff, and I was looking for Cole down the field in the post,
Calling audibles, yeah.
calling audibles. Like I feel like I was commanding the field, but then when I released the ball from my hand, like it sometimes just didn't get there.
And then when you look back at the
Right.
video,
It's a little it's a little bit of a wobbly duck, but I know Jim Irsay was up in the suite watching
sure.
all of us, and I know we got the win today.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I'm expecting a
How
call
about
for
that
tight
kick at
end.
the end?
Oh, the kick. The kick
are you
from the
talking
field
about
goal.
are you talking about Lucian's on the side or the
No.
field goal through the uprights?
Field goal.
Isaiah's.
Isaiah, yeah.
He
So
just-
I missed it. Did he
he
sink?
striped
Did
it. He striped it down the middle.
No way.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
go check out the highlight reel on Dig It. I tagged all of you.
Oh my gosh, I
But
totally missed it.
gracious, it was a class kick.
Yeah.
And what
25
did he
yarder right
say?
down the middle.
You said later on the way back, your Isaiah's response when he kicked it in. What did he say about me?
He said my dad paid a lot of money for that field goal.
was
All
like,
those soccer lessons
yes!
and going to the
My
show.
kids are maturing.
It popped up right away, so I'm watching it right now.
We got Will in there, and then Luke just goes bananas like a.
Oh,
Six-year-old.
Luke was a lunatic on the field tonight. Like we were all laughing.
It was
So,
so
yeah,
good.
no, there we go.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's going through the motions. Yep.
He's psyching himself up.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
It's crazy that this is work for us, right?
yeah.
Oh, no, this is work. Yeah, this is work for sure.
So good.
Oh my gosh, Cole, we got to hear it. Yeah, I'm still running. Got to hear it though.
All right.
Give us some insight on the show here.
I learned how behind Michigan is with our systems, but I mean, everything they said was kind of everything I had in mind to say. But it is good to, it's good to see how those systems are really affecting the environment, and it's not just we're putting it in the ground. We're putting it in the ground and forgetting about it. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into these treatment systems, and it was just a big eye opener for me, especially just to see and learn all the systems and treatments out there.
Would you say that was more the WWETT show or MSTA or both, or because they're two different shows? I know MSTA, of course, is Michigan specific, where you guys are, and it's a state show and probably a bit more specific. But and then the WWETT show. This is my first time here, but seemingly everyone comes together and there's a lot more maybe technology, but curious to hear your thoughts on the differences between the two because they were back-to-back weeks.
I definitely learned a lot more here at the Wet Show. It helps when it's not just Michigan and you have a bunch of other people bringing in their systems and their ideas and knowledge from different states and whatnot. And you have guys in the class actively, contributing to the class, and you're hearing their stories and knowledge about where their states are from. So it's just a lot. There's just a lot more knowledge at the Wet Show, and also with the classes, there was a lot more classes that we were able to take this week.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'd love to hear you burn through like some of the classes you took because you guys, I feel like we're in most of them.
I'll pull the list up.
Yeah,
'cause
if you can pull the
there's-
list up, I'd love to hear
I was
because
taking quite a bit.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like most of the people I've talked to that were in the different educational sessions said they were like very strong, like a lot of good content. And I know I was talking to you guys about quite a few of them, and everyone was learning something from each of the classes you're in. But if you don't mind burning through which ones you were at.
Yeah, the other guys took some different classes, but we had for the most part quite a bit of the same. But Monday we had soil as a treatment media, community system management programs, avoiding the pitfalls. And I will be honest, some classes are not what I thought they would be, which is my fault for not reading the description. And then the next we had overview of trenchless pipeline technologies. I mean, we don't do any at Walnut Grove, and frankly, I don't know how much of that is going on in Michigan. The guys were from California, so they do a lot down there. Yeah.
It's usually more for the big city pipe when they don't want to dig up roadways and stuff like that. But
And then we had how water moves through the soil, implications for the treatment of wastewater. And that kind of piggybacked more off of the first class we took, and those two classes were really, really helpful.
yeah,
I feel like it's going to be really difficult now going back
Yeah.
to Michigan and like not knowing more than inspectors,
Yeah.
but like you're like, well, that's not really working, and explaining that, and they won't listen. That's the thing. That's going to be the annoying part is we're going to know all this, and they won't care that much,
Yeah.
and they'll just say, no, we're going to put it the way we've been doing it for
Yeah,
the
to
last
follow the code.
50 years.
But okay, so my question is, will you continue to tell them in a nice way, but continue to tell them what you're learning? Because that's what it's going to take in Michigan.
Yeah.
Every health department just like, no, our code doesn't allow it, and this is the way we've always done it. And Jacob Osowski says from A&R, he's like, if you want to invite me to Michigan, he's like, I'll do a class that makes the regulators squirm. Tell me the science behind this. Tell me why this is going to work. I'll tell you why it's not. And so that type of thing is what we need. We need guys like you saying something. Hey, you know what? We really learned that this isn't really working. And if they're interested and curious, they'll go back and say, oh, well, tell me more. And if they keep hearing guys say that, they're going to be like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like we could definitely inform them and push them towards it. And it's nice that like we're getting younger inspectors now too, so they kind of want to learn more too. So if they're learning more, they ask more questions, and they hopefully can push it to their boss and stuff.
Yeah, it'd definitely be nice to take the time, like when they come to inspect our systems, to not almost bounce ideas, but kind of bounce our knowledge off each other and kind of get their idea on how they look at the systems and how and what they think those systems are doing. It'd be nice to kind of have those conversations.
Yeah, like some counties by us just are better. Like they're more open to, yeah, let's try it. And then there's some that will not even look at you.
right.
And that's a problem. Because it's some of these systems, yeah, they've been doing them, but are they really treating it? Like we're here at the Wet Show, we're learning how to actually treat the sewer and the different levels in it and stuff like that to actually make it safe for the environment. And they're just putting it in the ground and watching it disappear.
What has been out of you three, your guys' favorite moments or experiences the last 2 weeks between being at MSTA, Mount Pleasant, Soaring Eagle Casino, and here in Indianapolis.
Well, I know Cole's has always been the buffet because every time I see him, he's got
buffet.
something in his face.
He's
The buffet.
has a problem.
I got a fast metabolism. What can I say?
He's a
The day
he's a
that
growing
runs
boy.
out, we'll
He's a
all hear
growing
about
boy.
it.
Yeah.
You got to feed that.
It will
250
stop
frame.
eventually.
Yeah.
For me, I think I've got honestly meeting all you guys is pretty awesome. You guys come from all over, and you know I didn't know you guys. I mean, you knew Travis obviously, but I didn't know you guys, and to form the connection as fast and kind of like met most you guys last week at the Michigan Trade or Septic Show, and now I'm here rooming with.
It definitely helps that like we all like the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we're all in like the same business, and we actually like talking about it. Like it's hard to go home and talk about
Yeah.
our work because most people are like we don't care.
To your guys' points, it's very few places where you can really nerd out about
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
And that's why, like, you know, James and I, we talk all the time because it's like probably one of the few people that'll listen to
Right.
each of us. And I have a few friends like that. But when you pack a room full of 12
Yeah, from all over the
from all
country.
over the
yeah.
country,
Yeah.
and some of, in my opinion, some of the best and just most humble guys out there. And then, you know, they do become friends, but then you have these conversations. It's just, it's very rare to have that, and it's also respectfully too. I don't think you should have these types of conversations at home with
Right.
like with my
yeah,
wife.
there's a time and a place. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah, right.
because
right.
it's
This is an outlet. This is an outlet. We can just let it
Exactly.
all
So-
out. Yeah.
Yeah, a place like this, it's like, you know, just all gas, no brakes. You're just letting it all out, and somebody's listening, and they're just as excited.
Yeah, yeah, and like the beginning of this whole thing, Travis was like, "Hey, we're going to these conferences. We're gonna," and I was like, "Oh," and I was thinking like school. Like this is gonna. The last 2 years, I've gone
School.
into other countries and been on vacation. Like, what is this? But it's actually been really fun. Like I like talking about it. So it's like other people actually like talking about it too. So it's not like somebody's just looking at you like, "What are you talking about?" So it's very fun, and it's the classes aren't as boring as I thought they were gonna be. They're like actually learning stuff that I care about, and I was like, "Oh, this is not so bad." Like an hour
Only
goes
moderately
by.
boring.
Yeah, you're right. Like so the hours like actually fly by, and you're like, "Wait a minute, I have a lot more questions and a lot more stuff to talk about." But yeah, everybody here has been super nice too.
Yeah, it's been fun to see everyone kind of getting after it. Like I've never been at a conference where everyone in this group has been like taking as many classes as I've seen. And so a lot of times it's just, you know, you walk the show, then you go to the happy hours and you go to the parties after. But just the amount of education that seemingly everyone is trying to get here in this house at the show has been really cool to see.
It does help that a lot of states require people to get their continuing education
Very
points.
true. Very true.
But-
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Besides Connecticut, Connecticut
right.
did not. So Brian was just a volunteer.
Yeah, exactly. We lost Brian.
He was just a warm body tonight.
Yeah. And the last one really for me was just, you know, you guys have started working with Walnut Grove, and there's probably a lot of guys that are following online or see this kind of work and they want to get into it. I guess from each of you, what's your advice to someone who wants to get into this dirt work world? Maybe not on their own, but if they want to go find somewhere else to work, what would you say to them?
I would definitely recommend like a smaller company that you can like actually learn hands-on. They're not just going to throw you in a hole and say dig or whatnot. And then find somebody that has the same values as you. Like Travis is pretty nice, and he's got the same like families first. Like if somebody's sick or somebody has, you know, kids sick or whatnot, he's like, yeah, absolutely, take the day off and we'll figure it out. Like don't worry about work. Like you got family to worry about, and that comes first, and he understands that, and it's very helpful.
I mean, the question was, what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into the dirt world? You know, you'd said that you've had 12.
Yeah.
You've worked at 12 different places over the years. You know, what is it about this particular position, or how would you recommend someone get into this world, or would you recommend it?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't just assume.
Yeah, no, don't want to assume.
I would. I would definitely do your research and like your interview process and show everything is just as much as an interview of you interviewing the company as it is them interviewing you.
Yep.
I would just do your research and make sure you're gonna fit in at wherever you're applying, and more than likely you're gonna want to look for companies that are posting online and have a presence out there, because there's so many bad excavators that work out there that have a toxic work environment, and it's just, from what I found at least, the ones that are posting online, the ones that are going to these events like Dig It and Walnut Grove and these places are more places that are going to be more friendly to teach, and like you're not going to go to work and get your head cut off or doing something wrong, or like it's just a better companies that have a better culture and better environment to be at, I think. And I think more and more of those companies are going to come along, and because like the whole screaming at everybody and everything, that's kind of old school way of doing things, and nobody wants to work in that environment anymore. And a lot of those companies, like when I was running sewer main and water main, we were working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, and people don't want to work like that anymore either. And I think things are going to change going forward from that, and the companies that survive are going to be the ones that are being more flexible and
Adapt to what the workforce
Yeah.
actually wants.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely say find someone with the same values as you. That is definitely a big thing to look for. But then, I mean, also as an employee, you have to have a positive mindset, because, I mean, it's early mornings, sometimes late nights. I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to happen. And there's also those days where it's like, why the hell am I doing this? And I mean,
But it's a choice.
it's a choice.
It's a choice. You can
So-
wake up and decide to be miserable,
can.
and you're gonna be miserable.
Yeah.
You can,
It's a
but
guarantee.
100%.
I mean, mindset going into it, I mean, you have to be grateful and have a positive mindset and enjoy what you're doing. Like it's easy. This is the easiest job for me to ever wake up to, and it's the earliest I've ever had to wake up. But it's because I like what I'm doing. And the guys that I work with, it's the atmosphere is a great place to be. So
Yeah, no, I love that. So much of it too. And James, you touched on this just a second ago. Of just the mindset piece, and choosing. Do I want to be miserable, or do I want to at least do my best to have a great day today? Jeff, we were talking earlier at lunch today. I was housing a cheeseburger. You had the chicken strips, and I want to bring this up because I think this ties in perfectly with that question. But you bought your business at 19 years old, and you're 26 right now. And you told me today, and I hope I can share this, I hope it's fine, but you said, I wish I would have worked under somebody before I bought this business. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that and what these guys have been talking about. But, if you were to go back at 19, what that would look like, how that would change. And
I mean, the main one would be you make your mistakes, not on your dime directly. That's a big one. But I remember when I first started, a lot of customers or inspectors or whoever it may be would show up to a job site and see you, and you guys may have the same thing because you have a bit of a younger crew, and right away it's, oh, they're young, they don't know what they're doing. So that's where, getting the education and actually trying to learn and putting your foot forward is important, because once they get to talk to you, they can kind of tell, okay, this guy actually cares. He's putting effort in. He's willing to learn. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
absolutely. And at 19 years old too, it's not like you have a bunch of money saved up, a 401k, like all these bennies, and I mean, it's just it's tough. And then you get into business, you realize how hard it is, and I think it builds respect though for the business owners that are doing it right. It's like, man, how does this guy or gal have their head screwed on straight?
It puts a lot of it into perspective, and
Yeah.
you can look at guys who have been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years with the nice trucks, and you realize, okay, wait a minute, this guy didn't work for a year and get all this stuff. This
For
is
sure.
this is decades and decades
Yeah.
and decades of building
Generations,
consistent,
yeah.
reliable service, and that's how you get there.
Yeah, and I appreciate you sharing that too, because it's such a great point. And so many people that listen to the podcast, are very young and they want to buy into the business, and they'll listen to the episode with James and okay, yeah, we'll buy a business, we'll jump into it, everything's gonna look great, everything's gonna go well. But when you bring the reality into it, it's a lot more difficult than that.
I mean, I wouldn't change anything. It would have been nice maybe to start a little bit earlier, but my time at the places that I worked before, at Cintas, at the wireless dealer, like I gained so many skills in regards to selling, in regards to dealing with customers, and all these different things that are very important for what I do today. The septic component, yeah, that's very important too, but that's stuff that I was able to learn once I got into the industry. All those other skills and ability to sort of analyze businesses and how they work and stuff like that, that was all from my previous work experience. So I think if you can, it's definitely best to go somewhere else and learn to get a bit of an idea as to how things work before going out on your own. But that being said, there's a bunch of guys out there that are really smart, that get in there right away and are super successful, and more power to you if you can do it.
Yeah, one thing I'd say on that too is, maybe Durbin, if you don't mind giving your thoughts on this, is having an employee come in that is very transparent, just saying like, I would love to own my own company one day. Would you mind over the next couple of years or year or 2 years teaching me the ropes? And so curious to hear your thoughts on that, how reserved you are or how open and transparent you are on that.
I think I would be open to it in the fact that my whole goal in starting a septic company is to do better than previous generations have. I mean, so much of the septic industry, at least in Michigan, is, a guy in his truck.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and we get this mentality when we go to the Michigan trade show and guys get up there and they're like, hey, how's everybody doing? And like, everyone's just like, sits there and like someone knocked him over the head. Like, no, like, let's interact here. Like, and I think I noticed that too here. I think Cole mentioned it, is that there was a lot of good feedback. I mean, if someone asked a question, it was like, yeah, I've had this situation and here's what I learned. And everyone in the room's like, yeah. Where in Michigan, the culture is just stay out of my business.
Yep.
And I'm here because the government has stuck their nose in my business. And I'm like, we have to get over that. And you have some people that are extremely vocal about government sticking their nose in their business. But anyway, and incidentally, we actually put disciplinary action in our bylaws this past year for people that have been not consensus building, not constructive in their contributions, and they were just there to yell. And so we changed the bylaws to, what do we do when you get someone who's irate and they're just disruptive and they just create more chaos than anything. So yes, I think if I would train up a young guy and he would start a business in our area, and I could replace one old codger who is just doing things backwards and doesn't wave at anyone and just hates getting continuing education. If I could eliminate one guy in my community that's like that, by replacing him with a younger guy that's been trained that, listen, we're public health professionals. We're going to do the best we can to protect our greatest resource, which is our fresh water. And we're cool about cleaning up lakes and streams and stuff like that, then absolutely. And, and it's interesting that you guys all connected with either Travis's son or Travis through school, or you both went to school in the same school, and here you are in the same company. I keep in the back of my mind thinking, I've got a high school that's on the same street as my business. And there is nothing in that high school that is trade related to my business. I'm like, I got to teach a class in there or something. I got to introduce this industry to the young people that are going through there, to the ones that are interested. And if I can do that, and then there's another company like Pump That Septic and another company like Dig It Excavating that's top notch, clean, people can actually have a career path and all of those things. And absolutely.
It probably helps with your prices then too. Like you're not so far off of the guy that does it cheaply and puts in the cheapest pipe and
Just wants
just
beer and fish money.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
that's a problem.
So does anyone remember kind of when the plumbing industry was like just like slovenly and, you know, sloppy and, you know, is the butt crack plumbers, you know?
Yeah.
Do you remember that, or is that
Yep.
before you?
Nope, I
Okay, so
remember
some of
that.
the older guys remember that. I remember that. The plumbers were disgusting people. But man, the plumbers in my area today, they wear white shirts,
Different
and
world.
gray
Yeah.
pants, and like they have American flags in their sleeves, and they go and take care of the same disgusting problems. But they're professionals now. They drive around in big cube vans with like graphics all over the side, and they get paid top dollar.
And the hedge funds are noticing, and they're
Yeah.
buying up
Yes.
these
Yeah.
service businesses for mega bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we can, and that was my whole thing. The whole idea behind Pump That Septic is the Mr. Clean guy of septic. You know, the big, strong, buff guy, shaved head, earring. He means business. He's going to clean up shop, and that's really what was the vision behind Pump That Septic. And if we can get the next generation on board with that, the whole industry's coming up. And I love that point that we're no longer fighting the guy who's racing to the bottom
Yeah.
to just kick home early in the day and go fishing. Not that going home early is a problem, but what I'm saying is we all need a livable wage. Yeah. So anyway, that's a good question.
Yeah, no, and I think, and I don't know if you guys see this. I've only been in the industry, 4 or 5 years or so, and seen it from a different perspective. But a lot of the shows I've been to, I'm seeing a bit of a movement, I would say, in this generation. I mean, even this podcast, our average age is in the high 20s to low 30s, and 80% of our listeners are 23 to 44 years old, and so
I don't know that this happens 10 years ago.
I agree.
I don't know that 10 years ago you come to the WWETT show or one of these industry events and you have this many guys, even though they're not next to each other, willing to share as much information with each other as they are actually sharing right now. So I do see the shift. I think it is starting to happen slowly. I know it's one of the things I'm pushing in our area too, just open transparency, letting everybody sort of see what we're doing, how we're doing it, and someone else wants to get on board and do it the same way that Canadian Septic's doing it, great. That means we're all going to be pricing things the same way.
you got to lead. You got to lead through the trenches there, and I know with Canadian Septic too. You guys are leading from the front, in my opinion, and it's not easy, and you got to do a lot of things you don't want to do, but you got to turn down a lot of business as well. And so, doing it the right way,
Yep.
leading the right way, and building that, it's there's other companies that are going to follow. Might not be in your area, but there's other companies that are watching and
Absolutely.
listening for sure.
I say it makes us better too, because like you might just say, "Oh, that's good enough," but like if the guy down the street's doing a better job, you're like, "Well, I don't want to do worse than that guy," and you just always step up, and then you're just racing to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the Michigan Trade Show, James showed some photos of his tool.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
trailer, and
Yeah.
we're
The T's gonna
redoing
come
our whole
out.
tool truck now.
Iconic.
So it
Yeah.
kind of is that teeing off what Ethan said, making each other better in the industry. And
It definitely made our standards higher. We got a little chat when we got back on
I heard
Friday.
about the chat.
So now our tool truck is torn apart and getting redone. But in that same way, like Travis goes, okay, you guys design it. You guys are gonna use it every day.
Yeah.
You design it how you're gonna actually use it, and he'll put the money up and
He's
have
giving
us-
you the rope.
Yeah. He's like, I want, because he goes, I might design it differently than you guys design it, but if you guys are gonna actually use it,
Yeah.
I'll pay for it.
See, that's so cool. So that started to happen organically in our company, in delegating responsibility and me pulling back. I didn't intentionally think about, it's time for me to kind of back off and give delegation. And, some of that happened out of necessity, and some of that happened out of, Lucian asking to move out of the vac truck into marketing. And I was like, okay, let's try this. And so and the more and more I delegate, the less and less stress I'm having. And I'm like these 20 years of saying this is the way we're going to do it and leading by example. Now, all the people that work from here are like, I send them off and I'm like, wow, these pictures look good. The job site is just as orderly. They're sending me pictures of laying pipe in there straight, not they're equal space, they're level. The headers and footers look great. They're gluing stuff up ahead of time. Really, crisp trenches of drops. If you're doing a high elevation drop, it's done properly. They're doing short drops and 45ing here and here and here and the I can just tell by the pictures that they're doing it the same way that I would be doing it if I'm there. It's very rewarding as a business owner, and it's also really cool that you're empowering the next generation to step up and take responsibility, and that's very rewarding for crews to come back and say, "Hey, boss," and I don't hey boss me, but whatever. I mean,
Hey, boss.
we're all family or whatever, but some do,
Yeah.
and they mean well. But it's like if they come back and they say, "Hey, I got pictures of the job," it is so cool to say, "Well done, guys."
Yeah.
I mean, the tracks are clean. They bring the machines back. They're washing stuff. I don't tell them every day to wash stuff.
Yeah.
They're cleaning the floor when all the dirty trucks are out and all of that stuff. And it's just so cool to see.
Yeah, they hold everyone to a higher standard, and we talked about that on one of the last podcasts. Of just when your employees start saying we do this, this is how we do it, instead of this is how Dervin does it, or this is how Jeff or James does it, or whoever. It's like, no, this is what we do, and getting them to say that without you there. No, I love it, and wanted to give a few shout outs. Don't want to forget these. So we're Dervin, if you want to start. Actually, I'll do mine first, and you give a couple of yours.
Yep.
I just totally blew that up. So a couple shout outs. Of course, we got to thank Sledgehammer. Got to hang out with the crew today. That was a blast.
What a ride.
A lot of words were spoken.
Oh, what a trip. I mean,
Fun.
I have some very thick Dutch orange blood running through my veins. But my goodness, that jacket that Will was wearing
Do
today.
you know how much you paid for it?
Oh yeah, he told me he was very proud of the fact that he paid $13 for it.
Yeah.
Got it
And
at
a second
secondhand.
hand. Oh my god.
And he said it was worth $400. I don't know about that, but
Yeah. Sweet jacket.
I mean, once he put that Sledgehammer emblem on there, probably definitely worth $400.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a choice.
Yeah, I mean-
Choices were made.
Massive shout out to Sledgehammer. They've just been so awesome supporting the MSTA live show we did, supporting the Dirtbags, and we'll have a special announcement likely coming up in the near future with them. And then of course we've got Encon, just always supporting the boys here, keeping us running. And then Charlie Huff, our construction insurance agent. He is the man at Charlie Huff the Mason on Instagram. Go give them a follow. And of course, Encon and Sledgehammer. But we got a couple other little shout outs here we want to do.
Yeah. So this morning we met up with Poor Pumper Society, Dominic, our buddy there, and he's at the Crustbuster
So good.
booth at the show here. Great. So, what is it?
Crustbusters.
Smells like money.
When there's something
T-shirt
strange.
representing here. So shout out to Crustbuster and Poor Pumper Society. And also I'd like to shout out Elgin and Drew Nikolai. Great company. They offer sand filters that help reduce the size of a field and also still provide great treatment in the field, in the trenches, before it enters the soil. So super good product. Check them out, but shout out to them. They're a veteran-owned company, and they actually look out for veterans. So we have a system coming up here for a Vietnam veteran who's had problems. We tried to do some remediation for him with Sledgehammer. They told us we couldn't do it, the county, because they said it's a bootleg system, which they say are illegal. So they made us pull the Sledgehammer out. His system's still not working, and they said, hey, the solution is a new trenches. Well, once we tried to fit everything, there just was no room. And so then as we worked with Elgin, or they suggested to us, use an Elgin. It's approved in our county. So we had to actually switch it to a bed design, which is like the second design in Indiana there, St. Joseph. So Elgin came in and they said, the guy's a veteran, we're donating the modules.
Yeah.
100%, which is a huge cost.
Yeah,
For the system.
Elgin's awesome. Like they're very heavy on the veterans. I've spoken with Jim King. He's the president over there a number of times. He's been out to the BC show. We usually see him at least once a year there. I haven't really walked the trade floor today yet, but solid product. We put in a bunch of them. They've worked fantastic for us,
Yeah.
and they're great people.
Yeah. So, and a lot of to reiterate, a lot of their employees are veterans. The family are a family of veterans.
Yep.
And it's just such a cool thing. We're going to do a video shoot of it that they're going to be there talking
Nice.
about it, being a veteran-owned company. So it's an exciting project coming up for Lucian and the company.
Yeah, and shout out Lucian. Of
Yeah,
course.
shout out.
Gotta
there you
do.
go.
Let's give him a round of applause here, guys.
Good
Shout out
job.
Lucian. Absolutely crushed it. I
The
can't.
man is sticking with it behind the camera.
I can't
Oh,
believe we
yeah.
did what we did this week.
I know.
In 3 days,
It's ridiculous.
It's disgusting.
There's
It
so
is
much
absurd.
information.
So many great times, so many fun times. Lucian, thank you so much for never asking for anything, but always like being the man to like put all this stuff together, throw ideas out there, just always being behind the camera,
Yep.
using this Roadmaster deal that I wouldn't know what to do with. So you've helped a ton, and these live shows are always a fun change up in what we do. And it's just been so much fun. And also too, like for all of us getting to do it, I think that's sometimes what people forget is like we get so much out of doing these shows,
yeah.
and we're just having conversations on the couch right now. And it's just so awesome. So thank you everyone for always listening to the Dirtbags podcast. If whatever platform you're listening on, subscribe to it, leave us a 5-star review, and gotta give a huge shout out to Ashland Pumps and Mr. Jeff Hammersmith. James just sent me a little notification there. He's like, "Oh, we gotta
Don't
toss
forget-
Ashland in
don't
there."
forget
I'm
your
like-
boy.
No, I'm like, no, he's the final. He's the
there you go.
finale.
Yeah.
Went and saw Jeff at Ashland Pumps today, Ashland Pump, and they are incredible. I'll say this, he actually offered for us to do a live show in their booth today, and they were busy all day.
Yep.
But he offered that up. He said, yeah, anytime we want to come in there. Just so nice, such a great guy. He's been huge to MSTA as well, and just a great friend that I've gotten to know over the last couple years as well. So
And one heck of an auctioneer.
Yeah.
That guy talks faster than any other person I've ever met.
So good, so good. We got to clip that little snippet he did on MSTA and just have it as like a voiceover on one of these, or like the intro or something. So, but no, seriously, thank you guys so much for always listening. This has been a blast for us. Keep following the show. We got a lot more coming for you guys, and appreciate having the Walnut Boys on here. So, and appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Let's do it.